This is Gina Moore with More Than Sports. I am super excited for my interview today with quarterback Michael Johnson Jr. Michael, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So this is our third sit down interview. I think I interviewed you before your senior year of high school. And then I interviewed you just actually a few days before you were to leave to go to Penn State. So pretty excited about this. And, it's been great following your journey from high school to college and to where you are now. So let's kind of talk about that. Really what's happened in the last year and a half. You went to Penn State. So kind of talk to me a little bit about what it was like transitioning, because you early enrolled. So what was that like? Kind of being away from home, going to college, being a student athlete. What was that like for you?
I mean, when I was leaving, I definitely was excited about it because I couldn't wait to get out of my parents' house, really. So going there, I was just really excited. But once I got there and then you realize how the transition was, like, in a sense, like you're on your own, like when you go. So like to be like pretty much a high school senior, and then it's like I'm waking myself up at 5:30 in the morning, like going to these lifts, like it's a grind. So definitely it was like it wasn't a hard transition, but it was something that you had to get accustomed to quick, because I mean you didn't really have a choice being in the sport at the Division I level because everyone's doing it. So I think it was definitely like kind of like a wake up call. And I mean the first semester was something that I had to get used to, but then after that I got the hang of it, and then it was just kind of just the new norm to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so kind of talk to me a little bit about that, because you went straight from high school. It's not like you had a summer break or anything like that. You went, winter, you went to Penn State. So what was that like for you personally? How hard was it for you? You said it wasn't that difficult to adjust, but what was that adjustment like? First time away from home, you having to kind of hold yourself accountable to get up and make sure you're going to what you're supposed to for practice, but yet also with school as well.
I think the hardest adjustment, I would say there's three things. No, I'd say two things. It was definitely school, the adjustment of school, and then I think managing my money, so to say. Because at first I was blowing because it was like 5 degrees when I got there. I kid you not. Like, it was really like that semester. It was like 5 degrees, 10 degrees here. Like it'd be a low of 0, and then it'd be like, I don't know. I was kind of a wimp, so I used to Uber. I used to Uber to class, like you Uber everywhere, like literally. Like there was one month. I think it was March of 2019. I spent $1,000 on Uber.
So how'd that go over?
And then definitely school was just time management with your school and then everything else that you have to do. So you're not crumbling everything in the last second. So I think that was just the first semester was definitely my hardest. Not that it was like super hard or like very difficult. It was just the toughest thing, just going from a high school senior to a college freshman. So.
And do you think that's something that you're kind of unprepared for? I mean, not necessarily you, but that maybe isn't taught or maybe isn't talked to you about, just really that transition of how it's going to be leaving high school and going to college. Is it something that you were prepared for because, people that have done it? Your dad was, a college athlete, or was it something that kind of took you by surprise as far as, how that transition is?
No, it was I definitely knew, like, going into it. People had warned me, but it's one of those things that you don't know until you know.
Right.
So, like, until you like go through it, like you don't realize like how it actually is, and then how it's like really a grind because you hear about it and you're like, oh, okay, like I can do this. But then you're like doing it on a daily basis. Like, I don't think anyone really can. No one's really gonna understand it until they really go through it. And I think it's something I went through, and I'm happy I went through it too because I think it really builds your mind and your mental toughness to be able to do things like that. Because if you think about it, like the majority of the people aren't doing that, so I think it kind of sets you apart.
Well, and I think a lot of people, like fans or people kind of looking in from the outside, think, oh, they have it so easy. Until, like you said, you're really doing it to really figure out how hard it really is to be a student athlete and to manage your time and to get your grades good. And, just really all of that's involved in it, until you've lived it. I'm sure people don't understand how difficult it really is.
Yeah. I mean, it has it. I'd say it has its pros and its cons. I mean, I was very proud when I was at Penn State to be able to like wear a Penn State football like on my sweatshirt or anything that I was wearing because I felt like that was something that I had earned, like with the morning workouts, like with the lifts, with all the practices and running and all those things. So I wore that with pride. Definitely, I think athletes, at least at Penn State, I think we were just very blessed to have all the help we had, academic help and all the just all the tools we had in order for us to be successful. Like think about the regular student probably has to pay for tutoring if they want to get tutored, or probably has to do something else to in order to, I guess, achieve what they want to achieve. Where for me, like it was kind of, we had an academic building that was strictly for athletes that had numerous tutors that were accessible to us for free. And definitely it's something that a lot of people, even myself, I'd say when I first got there, didn't necessarily take advantage of. But like once you get the hang of it, you realize how like blessed you are to have those tools. So definitely pros and the cons. Like obviously, the people who say that we have like the golden life, like don't see what we have to do outside of like, football games and all the times when they see us on social media or whatever. But I'd say that there's definitely that's obviously pros and cons of both.
Now you entered the transfer portal pretty close to when COVID hit. And so what has that really been like for you in trying to find a new home? You obviously didn't play this year. And so talk to me a little bit about that process of, entering the transfer portal and really how COVID has affected you.
Definitely, I guess entering the transfer portal was definitely probably, I think, a hard thing, like making that decision, because when you think about it, like you go off to college and you have all these big dreams and goals and aspirations to what you want to accomplish. And then transferring is probably never really in that thought. But I mean, when I transferred, I wasn't exactly as I thought it was going to be, because when I transferred, it's not like any other year. I transferred in the middle of COVID to where no one knew anything about whether we were even going to have a season, scholarship numbers. There was the Black Lives Matter protest going on too. So there was just a lot of things that like programs had to deal with that had nothing to do with football that were obviously more important than like I guess recruiting at the time. So one thing I did, I was just started training, trained every day and just tried to get better. So I mean, didn't know what the next step was going to be, but I knew through the grace of God that there was going to be a next step eventually, which there ended up being. So I just wanted to be prepared and be at my best. So whenever that opportunity came, I was going to be ready.
And talk to me a little bit about how you've been able to really maintain that positive attitude. I know you kind of alluded to it just a second ago. And you and I have, really talked on the phone, and, I've checked in on you to see how you're doing. And you have really impressed me with your attitude. I think a lot of times people would get down and depressed. I mean, it's hard trying to find a school right now for anybody. But you are a seasoned quarterback, and a very good one at that. So, how have you been able to really maintain that positive attitude during this whole process?
I think I just have a very good support system with my dad, my mom, my whole family. I think that they have definitely supported me and they believe in me more than I think anyone else does. And that's something that I didn't necessarily realize until I went through this. I went through this adversity that I'm going through right now. So I think that it was just them, my dad keeping me level headed, and I just realized that nothing I do or say, like, I'm not going to change anything like that happened. Like whatever happened at Penn State, which nothing negative happened. Like I loved my time there. I love everyone in that program. But I
Mhm.
mean, nothing I do or say is going to change anything that happened. Like the only thing you can do is just is just have a positive mindset going forward. Because
Mhm.
I didn't want to be the guy who's like at 30 years old talking about like coulda, woulda, shoulda, like here. Like I wanted to be able to just shift and just go on to my next opportunity.
Well, and I know when we've talked on the phone, and I kind of have mentioned your attitude, one of the things that you said to me was, whatever God's plan for you is. And how has your faith really played a role in this? Because that's kind of what you have said to me is, you know, it's God's will basically. So how has your faith really helped you in this situation?
I think definitely just I think you try as people and as humans, I think we try all the time to kind of try to direct our own ship. We
Hmm.
try to do it ourselves and then it doesn't work out and then it doesn't work out again. That kind of happened with me when I first entered the portal. I thought I had a divine plan of what was going to happen or where I was going to go or was going to go somewhere else. And then stuff didn't work out the way I wanted it to. And then you think to yourself like, wow, like this sucks. But then you get to the point to like where I'm at now, and then you think of that. You look back and like that opportunity wasn't the right one. That wasn't the right one. And then you get to the opportunity that I'm in now. Then it's like, oh, okay, like that was just God's plan, and you kind of see it. Like you don't see it when you're going through what you're going through, but eventually, like it's clear to you, and then you realize it, and that's just what happened with me. And I knew that was going to happen all along. So
Right.
mm,
It's just trying to get out of your own way.
exactly, and I think everyone struggles with that, whether someone's going to admit it or not. I feel like that's
Hmm.
in humans. I think that's with everyone.
So now let's talk about where you're going to be going. You just committed to Florida Atlantic. Uh, Tell me a little bit about that program, um, and why that program appeals to you.
I think just because of the connections I have there. I think just the people I know. I don't know those coaches just as coaches. Like I know them as people too. And I just know their coaching method and that they're gonna coach you hard, but they're gonna love you harder. It's just everything's a family around there, and they're gonna push you to be at your best. And I just felt like I was gonna get developed, and that was the place where I was gonna be at my best. And I know I was gonna have the best opportunity there. So,
Mhm.
and then obviously you can't even speak about where the school in itself is, and all those things is like that. It was just kind of like a no brainer.
Yeah, where's the school at again?
Boca Raton. How you say it? I think that's how you say it. Boca Raton.
Yeah, that's how you say it. Yeah. Um, I know that's what you were definitely excited about was going to Boca Raton. And let's talk about the coaches. So Willie Taggart's the head coach, and Raymond Woody is there as well, and Jim Levitt.
Mm.
So those are three coaches that coached at Oregon when your dad was there. So, when you talk about connection, you played with Raymond Woody's son at Sheldon. You played with Willie Taggart's son at Sheldon. So, like you said, it's a family. You know these coaches, you know them personally, you know their kids, um, how do you think that's going to be an advantage for you going in there? As far as like being more comfortable with the program, obviously it's a brand new place for you to go. Um, how do you think knowing those coaches and kind of being familiar with them and their style um, will be for you?
I think that I don't really know. I think it's just gonna be kind of like almost like anywhere else. Like I know those people obviously, so I know what they expect. I guess that's a positive because I already know what they're expecting, like how to go in there and work. So I just am really focused on just being able to go in there and just work and just train hard every day, just try to get better every single day.
And when are you going? When are you enrolling?
This next semester, so I'll be there in January.
Okay. So that'll be good. So that'll be kind of give you a head start on, getting to know everybody. And what are you most excited for about being a part of that program, being a part of FAU, besides it being in Boca Raton?
Just being able to play football again. Like, I haven't played 11-on-11 football in a long time. Also, just everything I hear about FAU's football team is I hear they're a band of brothers. Like the brotherhood there is real. So I just want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of the brotherhood they have there. I'm excited to just go on the team and have a bunch of new brothers. So that's what I'm most excited about, is just to be a part of a new family and just go, and we're all going to be working towards one goal. And I just want to do my part and just try to get better every day with them.
Now let's kind of go back just a little bit. You alluded to the fact that you have been training. You got to train with your dad some. How was that? Because I don't know that that's happened for a while, because he had been coaching and now he's not. So what was that like to really be able to go out there and train with your dad? Your dad played quarterback in college, played quarterback in the NFL. So he knows what he's doing. He has had that experience. So what was that like for you? Kind of being now an adult, you're not a high school kid, you're not middle school, you're not, you're out of the house. You had been out of the house, and came back for when this whole COVID thing hit. But what's that been like for you to be able to train with your dad again?
I think it was good. Definitely been a good experience. Definitely different than when it was when I was in high school. Now that I'm older and I'm more mature, I think just being coached by him is different, because I know now, after going what I went through, that he has my best interest and he believes in me, rather than being like 15 years old and thinking he hated me every time he'd give me constructive criticism. So I think that's just part of maturity. So I think it was definitely a good experience. And I think looking back on it, it's definitely kind of surreal. I don't think it's really going to hit me until I'm like maybe much older than this, because first of all, not every kid has a dad who's as knowledgeable as my dad, and not every kid has a dad who would have the time or even take the time to work with him and train him in order for him to be at his best. So I think I'm definitely blessed to have the support system that I have.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I know I interviewed you and your mom before you left for Penn State, and the support that your family has for you is pretty amazing. And something, especially now that you can kind of look back on, something to not take for granted, and that's good that you are realizing that. And like you said, it may not fully hit until you're a little bit older, but just to realize that now, how blessed you are is pretty cool. You now train with John Richt. So talk to me a little bit about that and how that's been going.
Yeah, life came full circle with that one. He trained me, not trained me, he recruited me. He was a quarterback coach at the University of Miami when I was coming out of high school. So I ended up going to Penn State, and I ended up moving to Georgia in end of July, early August. And then I realized he was in Georgia, so he was only an hour from me. So I just called him one day and I was like, hey, like, can we like get some work in? Not knowing how he was going to respond, because I didn't know if he was going to be like, I didn't know if he was not going to necessarily want to talk to me after I did go to Miami. But no, he's been great. He's just been a great role model to me, just a great person for me to be around. Just great, really someone who I look up to as a man, not necessarily just as a player, but as a man. I think I've learned a lot from him, more so as a man than I have just playing football. I think that's just been a really great experience. And I couldn't thank him enough for taking the time to work with me and these past however many months. It's just been amazing.
Now you are working at, is it his place or is it someplace different?
It's at his
Facility. Okay. And you are working with younger athletes, is that correct? So how has that experience been for you?
It's very eye opening. Kind of I don't know. Sometimes kids are just kids, like So
Yeah.
just going through a day to day and working with kids, or like if they are not listening with one thing, or if they're being difficult, they just have so much energy. And then thinking back to like, oh, like I was that. Like you can't even get mad because they're just kids. And then looking back, like I was that kid. Like I was that kid, like over so many years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just been really good, and this definitely working with kids is something I love to do. It's just very fun. Like it doesn't even feel like work to me. I just love being around them. Just love, I guess, just doing what I'm doing. It doesn't even really feel like work to me.
Yeah, that's nice. It's nice when you can find something, like you said, that doesn't feel like work, and I think that's great. So, what has been the biggest thing that you have learned about yourself during this whole process?
Uh, I think one thing I've learned is that I'm mentally stronger than I could have ever imagined. I think that everyone is mentally stronger than they could have imagined, because I think just going through what I went through, just with not knowing anything, I think just my determination to be able to keep working was just something that I think was very mentally strong for me to do. And it wasn't even just me; it was really my support system encouraged me every day. I mean, it wasn't easy every day, but they encouraged me every day and they believed in me. So that made it easier for me to just go in and put my work in, even when things weren't going as I would have planned.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's key. You don't know how strong you are until you have to be strong. I mean, it's kind of that saying, but it's something that you can take and learn from for the rest of your life. I mean, this was a situation that was tough. You were out of college, you entered the transfer portal, really expecting to be picked up, and COVID hit and that whole mess. And so, things didn't work out how you envisioned it to. So, that happens to everybody in life in some situation or another. And so really continuing to maintain that positive attitude, even though it sucks, and it's tough. And there's days where you're going to be down about it and depressed about it, or just, I mean, there's days when you realize this is not what I planned for. And so I think that's good. It's good sometimes to have those lessons, so that you do know that you're stronger than you can ever think that you were, previously. And I think it makes you mature a lot more too.
I think so too. I would agree.
So who has been the person who's really influenced you the most in your life?
My father. I think especially now, just believing in me more than anyone I think ever could. So he's definitely my biggest influence my whole life, really, looking back. Something, again, you don't realize it until you kind of go through something. Because like looking back, like I don't know what I would have done throughout this whole thing if I didn't have my father. So I think just he's been very influential, and just in life, just forget football, just in everything. Like he's just been a great person, of a voice of reason, this all the time.
Well, and I'm sure it's helpful too that he has been through it, and he, from a football perspective, he does know that part of it. He knows how hard it is to be a student athlete. He knows how hard it is to get into the NFL and to play at that level as well. So it is good to have somebody like that you can go to and talk to about what you're dealing with. and he can give you the advice that, he's been there. So it's easy to listen to somebody, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that's really been there and been through it.
Exactly.
So what impact do you want to have at Florida Atlantic?
Just any way I can help the team. Just any way I can help the team. I'm just going to try to get better every single day. I'm just going in there to try to have the best impact I can. Obviously, I want to play. Obviously, I'm not everyone who is on a team wants to play. So obviously, I want to go in there and earn my spot. But just help the team any way I can. I'm definitely just going in and be a part of the brotherhood and just work with them, go towards like our goal, not necessarily just my goal, with our goal. Because I guess with team success, like comes individual success too. So, but I'm definitely a team first guy. I've always been, and I think I always will be. So that's what I'm just trying to have just a great positive impact on any way I can.
So now I'm really curious, how is it when you have to compete for a starting job? How is that, especially, as a quarterback? How tough is that? And how do you handle that pressure of going in there and competing for the top spot? What's that like?
I mean, it's really, at least at Penn State, they didn't make it seem as if like they didn't really put any pressure on you. Like, oh, everyone here is competing for this spot or this spot. Like, it was kind of just, all right, guys, we're going into practice. You're getting these reps. You're getting these reps. You're getting these reps. And then it was up to you what you were going to do with those reps. And they were going to notice if you did well or if you played poorly, and they were going to make the decision that they thought was the best one. So, I mean, I've never really felt pressure or anything like that in order to start or anything. I've just tried to go and just put my best foot forward every day.
And is that really your goal at FAU? Kind of the same kind of a thing, just to go in, do your job, and then whatever happens, happens?
Definitely. I think just go in, get better every day, work hard, work extremely hard, try to be one of the hardest workers, and just try to lead by example. I just want to go and work hard, and I'm very confident in my ability, and I think that if I just go in and work hard and take care of the things on and off the field I need to take care of. I just think that I think everything else will take care of itself. I think that I just need to go and just put my best foot forward every day and try to get better.
Now, as a quarterback, what does leadership on and off the field mean to you? You're kind of that leadership position on the field. So what does that mean to you, both on and off the field? Because it really kind of, people look up to you. So what does that leadership mean to you?
I think just doing the right thing, not being on negative lists, not being in trouble or anything like that. Like, obviously on the field, you can't be a leader and then just messing up on reps or like having mental mistakes and things like that. Just as so you can't necessarily be doing everything right on the field and then getting in trouble downtown or somewhere else. So I think it's just doing the right things. And then, I mean, we're all old enough that we know right from wrong. So
right,
it's just doing the right thing.
So what would you say is your biggest strength?
As far as football?
Nope, just in general. What is your biggest strength? I would say aside from football, because you are so much more than football. So aside from football, you as a person, what is your biggest strength?
I think definitely my attitude.
Mm-hmm.
My attitude is definitely my biggest strength. I'm just very quick with, I would say, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the first one to say you can't change the past. You can't change the past, and you can't necessarily predict the future either. You can't focus on the present. So I just try to be where my feet are and just focus on the task at hand or whatever I need to do. And I think that just having a positive mindset, and that was something that was taught to me at Penn State, actually. It was one of our core values, was a positive attitude. And I just really took that to heart. So having a positive attitude and doing like whatever I do, because if you have a negative attitude towards something, like you're obviously not going to do it at your best. Like there's no chance. So
Mhm.
have a positive attitude in whatever you do.
So now, what is your ultimate goal in life? And this can be with football or without, but what is your ultimate goal? Like at the end of the day, what do you want to have had accomplished?
I just want to be someone who impacted other people. I just want to be someone who I think no one says has been someone who didn't give their all or wasn't a light to people. I always want to have that positive attitude and just touch other people in any way I can, no matter who they are. They could be the mailman or a stranger. Like treat everyone with respect and just try to just touch everyone and just be a light to anyone. That's just in life. I just want to be someone who just spreads positivity.
Mm-hmm. And I can say that that is who you are, and I think that's a great quality that you have already. And so just continue being that way and you'll be very successful in whatever that you do. So what advice, this is my last question. What advice would you have for others, just in general, that have maybe thought about entering the transfer portal, or, they're in high school and they're struggling with not playing or not getting looks, or, you know what I mean? Like, what is your best piece of advice that you could give people right now?
I say work hard. I mean, unless you have to give it everything you have. I mean, and if you're already doing that, then I just say keep doing that, because there's definitely light at the end of each tunnel. And everything is not going to last forever. As much as it thinks that like your tough times are going to last forever, I promise you it won't. I'm a testament to that. I can definitely be a living proof of that. So definitely, I just say just stay on the grind and just keep working. And just when you think it's just can't get good, that's might be when it breaks through for you. So I think just never give up at all. No matter, there might be times where you may doubt yourself or anything, but you always got to stay mentally strong. And I think that's when it's going to happen for you.
Mm-hmm. That's great advice. Well, Michael, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate your support for the last 4 years. You have been amazing. And I just really wish you the best at FAU. I think you'll do great. And so I'm excited to watch you play and just really see what your future holds.
All right,
so
appreciate it.
Absolutely. So this is Gina Moore with More Than Sports. Thanks for watching.